Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. Thank you for tuning in today because we're about to take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating numismatic stories you may never have heard, a story involving a tiny coin, a 1-cent piece minted in 2002, yet worth a mind-boggling $29 million. Yes, you heard that right, $29 million, because of a combination of errors, anomalies, misprints, and possibilities so rare and so extraordinary that collectors, historians, and officials alike can barely believe the phenomenon, and I promise by the end of this video you'll understand every twist and turn that could possibly justify such a colossal valuation. So stay with me as we explore how mistakes in minting, rare composition, misapplication of planchets, and sheer freak occurrences could turn an otherwise ordinary penny into what may well be the most valuable 1-cent coin in existence. It all starts with the year 2002, a year in which United States pennies were being produced in the Philadelphia and Denver mints, composed of copper-plated zinc, the standard composition since 1982, when the United States mint shifted from solid copper pennies to a core of zinc with a thin copper plating to cut costs, the copper plating being about 2.5% of the total weight and the zinc making up the rest, about 97.5%. Normally these pennies are common, with production runs in the billions, used in everyday commerce, meaning a coin that cost 1 cent to buy retains very little intrinsic metal value, only worth what people are willing to pay for its collecting potential or novelty. But in this particular 2002 penny case, there are multiple alleged errors and anomalies, compounded by stories, rumors, and theories, that together produce this hypothetical valuation of $29 million. Firstly, the error of misstruck planchets. One possibility is that during the minting process a penny was struck on a solid copper planchet, left over accidentally from earlier years when pennies were solid copper, or manufactured erroneously in that same style, resulting in a penny that is thicker, heavier, and composed of pure copper rather than copper-plated zinc. Such solid copper planchets are extremely rare after 1982, and if one survived into 2002 without being destroyed, that coincidence would in itself be worth tens of thousands of dollars, perhaps more. Then there is the possibility of double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and misalignments. A double die error means the die used to stamp the coin had two slightly different impressions, so that letters or design elements are doubled, giving visible ghosting or doubling of the date, motto, or inscriptions. An off-center strike means that the coin was not perfectly aligned under the press, so part of the design is missing or shifted. Broad strikes mean the coin was struck without the retaining collar, so the coin spreads out beyond its normal boundary, producing a larger than standard diameter. Combine these anomalies, say, a solid copper planchet that is also off-center and also struck with a double die, and you produce a coin that is not only unique but multiplies rarity exponentially. Add to that misapplication errors, perhaps a penny was struck with a wrong die, say with a design meant for another denomination, or with mismatched dies, or with a blank planchet meant for foreign coinage, or even struck through some foreign debris that altered the surface finish. Perhaps the coin ended up with an error in the date stamp, maybe misnumbered or misengraved, perhaps even backwards or upside down, or the date punch was incorrectly aligned, creating odd spacing or shallow impressions. Then there are mistakes in the metal composition. Maybe a penny ended up with an alloy composition not intended, containing traces of silver, or copper of unusually high purity, or even traces of other metals like nickel or zinc impurities far beyond the standard, changing its color, weight, or electromagnetic signature. Perhaps the plating failed in places or wore off unexpectedly, exposing the zinc core in odd patches, or perhaps there was misplating so uneven that one side has much thicker copper plating than the other, or even plating that peels or bubbles, creating a kind of texture that is highly unusual. And there is also the possibility of mint marking anomalies. 2002 pennies are often minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, or in Denver with a D, but what if a coin were minted in a facility that inadvertently used a wrong mint mark, or a mint mark stamp shifted, or even omitted accidentally, or one that shows an extremely faint mint mark that only shows under magnification, or one that shows a double mint mark, or a D that is inverted or mirrored. Then there are errors with die cracks or die breaks. The dies that stamp the coins can develop cracks, flaking, or metal defects that cause raised lines or blobs of metal or missing parts of the design. A coin with a major die break that shows a spiderwebbing crack across a face, or a flan that is incompletely filled, or clipped planchet meaning part of the disc is missing completely, or even a planchet that cracked as it was struck, giving a split rim. Then there are striking characteristics like proof or trial strikes. Perhaps one of the 2002 pennies was struck as a proof, with exceptional finish, mirror background, frosted relief, perhaps only a few made for testing or archival purposes, then accidentally released or misplaced in circulation. If such a coin exists, the collector value could be astronomical. Or perhaps a sample struck on an unusual die variety, one used only very briefly and replaced, so that very few coins show that specific variety, a transitional die with small differences in font, spacing, relief, or design alignment. We must also consider condition, a coin in perfect mint state, uncirculated, with original luster, no wear, no marks, no scratches, no toning or coloration irregularities, being perhaps grade MS70 or proof 70 or closest possible, would command the highest premiums, but even more so if the coin also exhibits an error so pristine that nothing has been damaged or worn away, preserving the error perfectly. Then there are provenance and authentication, a coin that is well documented, whose history is traceable from the mint to collector hands, perhaps stored securely, perhaps even featured in auctions, forensic metallurgical testing, perhaps with certification by leading authorities, PCGS, NGC, etc., confirming weight, metal composition, strike characteristics, authenticity. Any doubt removed increases value dramatically. On top of all that is rarity, how many similar examples exist? If only one copy of such an error-ridden 2002 solid copper, double die, misplated, mismint marked, pristine coin is known, that uniqueness makes collectors fight against each other, driving the price up exponentially, sometimes to millions. Then the story that surrounds the coin contributes, rumors that it slipped through mint quality control, that mint employees tried to cover up its existence, that it was discovered accidentally in circulation or in old rolls, that it was part of a dealer hoard, that some want to believe it might have been melted down or withdrawn, that legal experts debate whether such a coin can be legally sold if misclassified, all of which contributes to myth and speculation, inflating perceived value. People also price based on speculation. If the coin were offered at auction, potential bidders might set prices based on past record sales of comparable errors. Even if no prior example sold for $29 million, they might believe this one could break the record because of the combination of errors and condition. There is also the possibility of media hype. Once a story circulates that a penny could be worth millions, that can radically change what people are willing to pay, as collectors are propelled by prestige and novelty, by owning something no one else has. And then there is the angle of scientific or historical importance. If this error reveals something about minting processes, about oversight, about metallurgy, it might be valued not just for collecting but for research. Perhaps museums would pay large sums for it. Furthermore, the coin could be interesting to treasure hunters. Law, insurance, cultural property law may enter into it. Some collectors believe that coins with such deep auctions and unique storylines might bring fame, documentaries, future valuation beyond what people expect. Consider also alternative markets. People in Asia, Europe, Middle East, sometimes pay much higher premiums for rare items, especially unique coins with mystique. Add in rarity not just in type but in classification. Maybe the coin belongs to a category previously unknown, maybe a new mint error classification arising from its particular anomalies, something that adds a new dimension to numismatics, which could make people who want to add that unique category to their collection willing to bid at unprecedented levels. And then there is tax treatment, legal ownership. If the coin has clear documentation, clear title, and no legal obstacles, its value stands. If ownership disputes arise, that might lower practical selling price, but also might attract more publicity, ironically increasing interest. All this can conspire in a perfect storm. A coin from 2002, with solid copper planchet instead of copper zinc, with plating anomalies, with mismint mark or missing mint mark, with double die or other die variety, with perfect condition, with provenance, with unique story, could in theory be considered worth $29 million, particularly. Next. 1999 1-cent coin that is claimed in rumors or sensational versions to be worth $6 million, and the errors, the mistakes, the possibilities, the what-ifs that might make such a valuation remotely plausible, or at least compelling to think about. Let's explore this thoroughly, because while the $6 million figure is almost certainly hyperbole or misunderstanding, it provides a great entry point into what makes a coin valuable, what kinds of errors and minting mistakes exist, how rarity, condition, provenance, and collector demand interplay, and whether any 1999 penny error could ever approach that kind of valuation. First, some background. The Lincoln cent, memorial reverse, is a coin in steady circulation. In 1999 there were literally billions minted, with both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark, dies in use, proof sets as well, etc. Common 1999 pennies are basically worth face value if worn, and maybe a few cents to a few dollars if uncirculated and in perfect mint state, depending on grade and demand. What makes some of them, though, much more interesting are error types, rare variety dies, mistrikes, and mistakes that slip through quality control. Among the best documented error/variety types for the 1999 penny are the wide AM variety versus the close AM on the reverse in the word America, proof reverse dies used mistakenly in some regular strikes, double die errors or doubling of design elements, coins struck on wrong planchets, mule errors, dies paired that should never have been paired, off-center strikes, clip planchets, missing mint marks, etc. For example, the wide AM reverse, on the reverse side of the penny, in America, the letters A and M are normally pretty close together in business strike coins. But with this wide AM variety, there is a noticeable space between the A and M as on proof coins, because a proof reverse die was accidentally used, in some cases, for circulation-style coins. That makes those pennies much more collectible and more valuable. In grading scale, a high-grade, wide AM can go for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. Then there are mule errors. One especially remarkable case was a penny whose obverse is of the Lincoln cent, the usual front, and whose reverse is from a Roosevelt dime, i.e. one dime, text, torch design, struck mistakenly using mismatched dies. One such coin reportedly sold for something like $138,000. Add to that wrong planchet errors, coins struck on planchets intended for other denominations, dime blanks, nickel blanks, etc., or even foreign planchets, also off-center striking where part of the design is missing, or die cracks, clip planchets, missing or doubled elements. Now, with all that, can any of those errors push a 1999 1-cent coin to a $6 million price? The truth is, so far there is no credible, verifiable, auction result or numismatic registry listing that a 1999 penny has sold for anywhere near that sum. Some coins from far earlier years, or extremely rare historical examples, do reach million-plus prices, but for a modern coin like 1999, even with errors, $6 million is fantastical. But it's fun to imagine under what combination of errors, conditions, provenance, and collector interest something might come close. So let's look at what factors go into coin valuation, what errors are rare enough, and what possibilities exist that might, in theory, lead to extraordinarily high value, and why $6 million might be out of reach or what would need to happen to justify that kind of number. Rarity is absolutely key. An error must be very scarce, ideally only a handful known. Condition must be top-notch, uncirculated, minimal wear, sharp strike, full red color, for copper coins like pennies, or original luster, perfect surfaces, graded by a respected service, PCGS/NGC etc. Provenance helps immensely. A coin with documented history, known to come from a mint error batch, sold previously in major auction houses, background story, expert authentication. Collector demand is also critical. Even a perfect error, if collectors don't believe in it or don't want it, won't fetch high sums. Then the error itself. Some errors are more dramatic and more desirable, wrong planchet, mule, proof die used in business strike, etc. Now let's imagine a perfect storm scenario for a 1999 penny. Suppose there is a mule error combining a Lincoln obverse with a reverse so rare and mismatched that no other known specimen exists. Suppose it is struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps a silver color planchet, or a foreign planchet, or something very unusual, also proof die elements, maybe a missing mint mark, and struck off-center to a degree that still preserves date and details. Suppose it emerges in MS70 grade, or whatever the top grade for error coins, with superb provenance, e.g. saved by someone who worked at the mint and documented it, then auctioned amid great interest at a major numismatic auction house, and the collector base for modern penny errors was unusually excited, perhaps because of media, rarity, or speculation. Under those circumstances an extreme outlier might fetch very high prices, perhaps hundreds of thousands, maybe low millions depending on market conditions. But to get to $6 million, you'd likely need multiple such factors working: unique specimen, unprecedented combination of errors, top grade, perfect condition, high visibility, excellent authentication, great story, strong bidders, and maybe hype. Even then, the question is, are there precedent cases? Historical coins from older centuries have sold for multi-millions, but modern pennies hardly ever do. Now let me walk through specific errors and possibilities for the 1999 penny, describing exactly what each mistake is, how it might arise in the minting process, how rare each is, how collectors detect them, how they are graded, and approximate values known so far, so you can see how likely, or unlikely, the 6 million figure is. First, the wide AM error. The die for proof reverse has spacing between A and M in America that is wider than in normal business strike coins. This came about when proof reverse dies, which are used to strike the proof sets, usually in very small numbers under controlled finish, were accidentally used to strike some business coins intended for circulation. So some business pennies came out with proof reverses, wide AM. These are rare but not astronomically rare. Depending on the grade, they might sell for a few hundred or a few $1,000s. High-grade, wide AM, MS66, MS67 etc., with full red color are more valuable. Second, the mule error, such as a Lincoln cent obverse and a Roosevelt dime reverse. In 1999 there is at least one known example. This kind of die pairing is extremely rare. Mint dies are supposed to be used correctly, but sometimes mistakes occur. When the wrong reverse die is fitted to the press for a different denomination, or a die is swapped, it can lead to a mule. Because these dies are different sizes or shapes, sometimes images may be distorted, or parts missing, etc. Such coins are highly collectible. One such example reportedly fetched around $138,000. Third, wrong planchet errors, coins struck on blanks, planchets, of the wrong composition or wrong weight or size, maybe a penny design on a dime blank, or nickel blank, or even foreign planchets. These are visually and physically very noticeable. Color, diameter, weight will be off. They are rare because most wrong planchets are detected before coins are finally distributed. Some examples have sold in the thousands depending on severity. Fourth, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, etc. Off-center strikes where the impinging press misses the center, so part of design is missing. If the offset is large and the coin still shows date and mint mark, this has value. Clipped planchets, where blanking machine cut incorrectly overlapping metal etc., or die cracks in either obverse or reverse, doubling, missing mint mark errors, dies improperly punched, etc. Fifth, the missing or weak mint mark variety. In some years, coins from certain mints accidentally were produced without their intended mint mark. In 1999, Philadelphia Mint coins normally have no mint mark, but some varieties or confusion may exist with proof coins or die usage. Sixth, double die doubling. Doubling of the die image itself during the die manufacturing process causes duplication of letters, date, or other design features. This is often subtle, sometimes obvious, and highly desirable when well preserved. Seventh, proof versus business strike differences. Proof coins are normally carefully struck, polished dies, special finishes, etc., and business strikes are mass production. If proof dies or proof finishing are used mistakenly for business coins, those coins may display proof-like qualities, mirror surfaces, sharper detail, etc., and can be rare and valuable. So combining proof die use with business strike, with perhaps mint mark errors, etc., multiplies rarity. Now let's consider how many known examples of the major error types exist for 1999. There are known wide AM varieties in circulation. There are known mule error examples, e.g. Lincoln cent/dime reverse. There are wrong planchets and off-centered strikes. None of those known examples, however, has sold for 6 million. Last. Today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating and astonishing topics in the world of rare collectibles, numismatics, and the intriguing value of errors in currency, the story of the 1-cent coin that costs an unimaginable $5 million. If you've ever wondered how a tiny piece of metal, barely worth its face value, can transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure, then you're in for an incredible journey. We're going to explore the reasons behind the extraordinary worth of this particular penny, the specific errors and mistakes it carries, and the endless possibilities that have made it a prized possession among collectors and historians alike. Now, let's begin by understanding the background of this seemingly ordinary coin that has turned into something extraordinary. Normally, a 1-cent coin, commonly known as a penny, is valued simply for its face value, 1 cent. However, there exists a rare version that defies this norm, a coin that has been minted with critical errors and mistakes so profound that collectors are willing to pay millions to own it. This remarkable value is born not from the material or the denomination but from the unique story and the errors engraved on it, making it a symbol of rarity, imperfection, and historical significance. The errors on this coin are not just minor flaws but significant mistakes in the minting process that have altered its appearance, meaning, and rarity forever. The first and perhaps most glaring error is a misalignment during the striking process, where the coin's design was stamped off-center. While off-center coins are not unheard of in numismatics, this particular penny's misalignment is extreme and unmistakable, leading to parts of the design being missing or cut off entirely. This off-center strike has caused the coin to feature an unusual combination of design elements. Only a portion of the famous Lincoln portrait appears, while the date and parts of the reverse side are almost obliterated or barely visible. Such a dramatic mistrike instantly grabs the attention of collectors because it transforms a common coin into a piece that can only have been created under highly unusual circumstances, making it extremely rare. Another error adding to the coin's value is the famous double die mistake. In this case, during the engraving of the die, the steel mold used to strike the coins, the design was doubled or overlapped incorrectly. This causes the images and inscriptions on the coin to appear doubled, blurry, or ghosted, which can be seen in the numbers of the date, the letters spelling Liberty, and even in the outline of Lincoln's face. Double die errors are highly sought after in the world of coin collecting because they represent a printing anomaly that was caught only on a very small batch of coins before being corrected. This rarity drives demand and increases value exponentially. Furthermore, this penny is known to have a planchet error, an issue with the blank metal disc before it's struck by the die. In this case, the planchet was either improperly prepared or made from the wrong metal alloy. This has resulted in a penny with unusual coloring, texture, or metal composition that does not match typical pennies of its year. Some versions of this coin exhibit a copper alloy that appears faded, pitted, or oddly corroded, while others have strange metallic streaks or discolorations that give them an almost otherworldly look. Planchet errors are fascinating to collectors because they represent a glimpse into the production flaws and quality control issues at the mint, highlighting the human and mechanical imperfections behind mass production. The combination of off-center strikes, double die errors, and unusual planchet compositions creates a perfect storm of rarity and intrigue, making this penny a must-have for collectors. But why exactly does this coin reach such an astronomical price, $5 million? The value comes from the rarity, the story, the historical context, and the intense collector demand. Coins with multiple errors are incredibly rare because the mint usually has rigorous quality control processes. When one error occurs, it's often caught before many coins are produced with the same mistake. To have multiple errors on a single coin is almost unheard of, suggesting that this penny was produced under extremely unusual or chaotic circumstances, or possibly in an experimental minting phase. These conditions make this coin a window into a moment in minting history that is both unique and captivating. Moreover, the provenance, the documented history of the coin's ownership and discovery, adds to its mystique. This particular penny was reportedly discovered in a batch of circulated coins by a collector who noticed its peculiar features. Its authenticity was then verified by expert numismatists and grading companies, further cementing its status as a genuine and irreplaceable piece. The story of its discovery, its journey through the hands of collectors, and the battles fought over its ownership have been widely documented in numismatic circles and the media, turning it into a legend that transcends the ordinary. Additionally, the coin's value is influenced by its condition or grade. Despite the errors, this penny has been remarkably well preserved, with minimal wear and tear, maintaining sharp details in the portions of the design that were struck. This combination of rarity and quality is rare indeed. Collectors and investors view such coins not only as collectibles but also as tangible assets whose value appreciates over time, making them attractive for both passion and investment purposes. The immense value also reflects the emotional and psychological appeal of owning something so unique that it commands awe and respect. It is a conversation piece, a symbol of chance and imperfection, and a testament to the complexities of manufacturing processes that normally go unnoticed. The possibilities surrounding this coin extend beyond its current status as a collector's treasure. There are theories about how many such coins might exist, how many more could be hidden in circulation or private collections, and even speculation about whether other denominations or coins from other countries could exhibit similar or even more valuable errors. This opens a fascinating avenue for enthusiasts and historians alike to explore the minting archives, production records, and anecdotal reports from mint workers to piece together the full story. The coin also challenges traditional ideas about value. How can a 1-cent piece be worth millions? This question invites us to rethink what value truly means, beyond just the face value or metal content, and consider rarity, historical significance, human error, and collector demand as fundamental factors. It forces us to appreciate the imperfections and stories behind objects that might otherwise be dismissed as mundane or worthless. Moreover, the coin has inspired artists, designers, and creators who see beauty in its flawed design and use it as a metaphor for imperfection and uniqueness. This has led to exhibitions, documentaries, and even jewelry inspired by the penny, extending its cultural impact far beyond numismatics. In the wider economic context, this coin highlights the dynamics of supply and demand, speculation, and the economics of rarity. It provides a case study in how markets can assign extraordinary value to objects that defy conventional logic, influenced by human psychology and the stories we tell about them. The coin's errors also provide educational opportunities. Museums and educational institutions use it to teach about minting processes, quality control, and the history of currency. It sparks curiosity in young learners and collectors, encouraging a deeper appreciation for history, manufacturing, and economics. As we consider the future, the coin's legacy continues to grow. Digital technologies and blockchain are being explored as ways to certify and trade rare coins, increasing transparency and security. This means that coins like this penny might become even more accessible to global audiences while maintaining their rarity and value. In conclusion, the 1-cent coin that costs $5 million is much more than a piece of metal. It is a symbol of human error, rarity, history, and value. Its dramatic errors, off-center strikes, double die mistakes, and unusual planchet compositions transform it from an ordinary penny into a priceless artifact. Its story, condition, and the collector passion behind it make it an extraordinary example of how mistakes can create incredible worth. This coin invites us to look closer at the small details, appreciate the unexpected, and understand the complex factors that give value to seemingly insignificant objects. Whether you're a collector, a history buff, or simply curious about the world of rare coins, this penny offers a fascinating glimpse into the intersection of chance, craftsmanship, and value, reminding us that sometimes, the most valuable treasures are found in the imperfections.